If you follow my videos, you'll know that I generally start my camping adventures in March. I enjoy heading to the promised land in my small F-rib, taking the Vango Banshee tent as my shelter. Unfortunately, despite the tent being 15-year-old and still in great condition, I'm not in such good condition. Well, at least my bladder's not. It tends to leak like a tap needing a new washer after sitting by a campfire slurping beer all night. It's just an age thing, so I have to live with getting up 4 or 5 times during the night to relieve myself. I don't leave the tent to do my pee. I have a large bottle which saves going outside so often. However, my old back is not as supple as it used to be either. So I found that kneeling in a low-roofed Vango Banshee to relieve myself is no longer possible. I also have a Vango Galaxy tent which is perfect. The sleeping compartment is around a foot higher so my back is straight as I fill the bottle. I can even stand upright in the front porch area. But I find the tent is too large for stealth camping. It's perfect for a family holiday in a campsite though. I now have a tent that I think suits me perfectly, and will reveal it later in this video. The forecast for the week ending 8th of March was perfect for my first wild camp of the year. Temperatures were to reach 17 degrees centigrade, with blue skies for the Saturday and Sunday. Unfortunately, the Monday was forecast 40-mile-per-hour winds, before dying down again on the Tuesday. So I loaded the wee boat with enough food and beer to last until Tuesday, but would decide on the Sunday whether to camp out during Monday's stormy winds. With all my camping kit and supplies, I can only go at displacement speed in the small boat, but I was in no hurry. I felt like a youngster again going in the summer holidays, even though I was only going camping around 10 miles from my house. I was heading for the place I affectionately call the wee out-the-way bay. A fresh wind was blowing from the northeast as I headed up Loch Etive, and there was still a fair amount of cloud around, so the weekend heat wave had not yet arrived. But I was as happy as a sandboy as I headed into the promised land. There were 1 or 2 heavy showers around, but I missed most of them. My old friend the sea eagle seemed to dip its wing in an approval of my return. I was happy to see the coos that sometimes crap in my camp spot were a fair way away from where I was going to camp. And finally I was there, the sacred spot that I had waited all winter to come back to and set up camp. The wee out-the-way bay. I landed and headed up the beach to the place where I'd pitched my tent. And because I visit it regularly in day trips, I knew the winter storms had changed it. For the past 15 years I have camped here, it's always been above the winter storms. The last winter, the sea, driven by high tides and winds, have washed the sandy gravel over my hallowed ground. Not that I'm complaining, as it also washed the cow crap away. It did mean I had to pitch a tent in the sand though. And this photo shows the same spot at the start of last year. It was grass and bracken then. It had been a very mild winter, but there was a couple of violent storms. The effects of global warming, I guess. I was now keen to set up my new tent. It's the exact same height as the sleeping compartment of my large Vango Galaxy tent. In fact, it is my Vango Galaxy tent. I decided to snip off the large porch area and use the surplus tent fabric to make a new front piece with a door access. I also wanted an area where I could sit and cook if it was wet, or I could put a bug net over to keep the midges at bay once they start to appear at the end of April. So this is what I made, a tailor-made tent to suit my usage. And I'm far happier with it than the original Vango Galaxy tent. I had thought of buying a new tent this size, but decided why spend more money when I can alter one to suit me. The door is hinged up when opened and supported by a couple of poles, also left over from the Vango Galaxy tent. I then attached two side panels with Velcro fittings to the tent and supported door to form my seating area. So I can now store all my cooking gear in the small front porch, something I couldn't do with the small Vango Banshee tent. Everything had to be left outside it. This is the first time I have fully assembled my new tent, and there are one or two things I still need to do. But as mentioned, I'm delighted with it, and it passed a few bleak winter days making it, which is something I really enjoy doing. And let's face it, at my age, life is for enjoying, which is why I love camping out here in my promised land, or going around the west coast islands in the warmer weather. With the tent up, my next task was to sort out the sleeping gear. I use an old sleeping bag under my air mat as it's cold from the ground I have to stop. I have an excellent duck-down sleeping bag and a thermal inner that keeps me warm in the cold night air temperatures, but the down compresses when I lie on it, hence my care for insulating myself from the ground. Plenty of room in the sleeping compartment too, which is just as well as I discovered I'd forgotten to bring my nighttime pee bottle. I hunted around the shore for something suitable, like a washed-up plastic container, and found this bottle. Much larger than I needed, but at least I could find it easily in the dark. It certainly wouldn't have fitted in the Vango Banshee tent. With camp now set up, it was time to sit and slurp a brewdog, while refreshing my memory of campsite views. And just as I was about to nod off for a snooze, I got a visit from two old friends from last year. Yep, the two swans. It made my day to see them, even though they appeared rather indifferent about seeing me. But given their dues, they were much more tolerant of me than they were last year. And they went their way again without a single hiss or outstretched wings. I knew it would be dark around 6:30 p.m, and it would also turn quite chilly then, so my next priority was to collect some firewood. I jumped back into my boat and headed for the old forest, where I knew there was plenty of driftwood lying in the shore just above the high water mark. The empty boat got in the plain easily as I made my way there. "5 minutes after landing, the boat was full of fallen wood, so time to head back to camp. And of course the weight of the wood meant a slow displacement speed again. Back at camp, we spent a busy hour stacking the wood so the wind could dry it off a little, and I also cut some into fire-sized lengths. The exercise had made me hungry, and as it was now 5 p.m, I decided to cook my supper. I settled for 2 flat sausages, some shrooms, tomatoes, and a fried egg, all washed down with some Guinness gravy, and it sure filled a hungry hole. The salty sausages also gave me a thirst for lashings of gravy, so my next task was to get the fire going before darkness fell. I placed some of the larger logs at the back and sides of the actual fire to assist drying them out, as all the wood is quite damp at this time of year. The larger logs also help reflect some of the heat back towards me. It was hard work keeping the damp wood burning, but I still found plenty of time to slurp the gravy and to watch the world spin around about me. I have no idea what time it was when I went to bed, but it was certainly after 5:30 tins of gravy. I slept like a log, in between shots of trying to fill the big pee bottle in the tent. I awoke at 7 a.m. the following morning, and though it was still a bit cold, the wind had dropped completely. The loch was flat calm and the sky clear of clouds, as Loch Etive waited patiently for the sun to rise above the surrounding hills. I stared at the stunning scenery, and I thought, what a wonderful world we still live in. And although I think the world is going mad, it doesn't affect me out here. The Promised Land is very peaceful. When the drone returned, the sun was now shining in my campsite as I enjoyed my morning coffee and some cereal. And once fed and watered, I hauled the boat to the loch for a morning spin in splendid conditions. As I left camp, I passed my friends the swans, who took to mooning me with bums in the air, and then I was off to see the scenery at the upper end of Loch Etive. Having reached the end of the loch, there was little else for me to see, so I turned around and started heading back to camp. On the way, I managed to get a 4G signal on the mobile phone, so checked the weather forecast again for the following day, and saw it was still the same. Winds of 40 miles per hour were to get up during the night and last all day. Then the day after was showing a bit of rain with temperatures dropping again. This day was that warm I had considered going for a swim until I remembered I had no shorts with me. I decided to head back to camp, pack everything away late afternoon and head for home while the going was good. But first I stopped off at the sandy shores to the north of Almaty Bay for a leg stretch and give the drone a last turn around. Back at camp, it was with a heavy heart that I packed everything away, but I was very grateful for such a wonderful day. My first of many wild camps this year in the Promised Land. I'm delighted with the tailored tent, and I look forward to a long warm summer of using both it and the boat tent as I explore my way around the west coast of Scotland. Before I forget, I also met Doug Kay last time he was camping and fishing in Loch Etive. If fishing the loch is your bag, I can thoroughly recommend his YouTube channel. I've put a link to it in the video description. The soundtrack, which I call Tailored Tent, was written and performed by myself. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.